Happy New Year. Happy New Year and welcome. Good evening. I'd like to call the regular City of Vacaville Parks and Recreation Commission meeting of January 4th, 2023 to order and ask Secretary Plancia Reyes to please call roll.
Commissioner Oz?
Here.
Commissioner Berumen?
Here.
Commissioner Gutierrez?
Here.
Commissioner McMahon?
Here.
Commissioner Shea? Vice Chair Thompson?
Here.
Chair Vasquez?
Here. Thank you. And if we could all stand to present the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you, everyone. Next, bless you. Moving on to agenda item 3, approval of agenda. Everyone has had a chance to review the agenda. And do we have any amendments?
Yes, we do, Madam Chair, have an amendment to the agenda. Number 15, under adjournment, it says we will adjourn to the regularly scheduled meeting of Wednesday, February 1st, 2023. We have scheduled a special meeting for the commission, so that should read Wednesday, January 18th.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's the only amendment I have. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
All of motion.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. I heard motion by Thompson and second by McMahon. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. The agenda is approved. So moving on to agenda item 4, approval of the minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review the November 2nd, 2022 minute? Very long minute. Thank you, Tracy. I do have one minor revision. On page 4, about halfway down the page, it says generate review, and I think it should say generate revenue for Duke. I think. At least that's the context of the bullet point. Any other amendments to the minute? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Second.
Okay, so motion by Berumen, second by Oz. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. So moving on to agenda item 5, communications. Director Hubbard, do we have any communications for tonight?
Yes, Commission Chair, today we did receive an email directed to the commission from a Karen Nolan, and she wanted to invite the commission to the 3rd annual Peace in the Park celebrating the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on Monday, January 16th from 12 to 2. So you guys should all have a copy of it. If you don't have a copy, you will be receiving a copy of this. This just came this afternoon, and she wanted us to forward this to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
One other minor, we have received into the Centennial Park outreach last month, and Tony with the Solano Community Tennis Association has prepared a very comprehensive letter and supporting documentation about some of the challenges that the Tennis Association is having with parks. And so I wanted to just recognize that. I assured Tony that we would make sure that all the commissioners receive this, and perhaps we can make it part of the agenda for tonight. It is pretty significant. There's quite a bit here.
Director Hubbard, how would we?
We can't make it part of the agenda. You can report out on it under your comments. We can make copies and make sure that all the commissioners receive it. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you, Director Hubbard. And thank you, Oz, for presenting that. Moving on to agenda item 6, presentations. We have none. So moving on to agenda item 7, business from the floor. This is the time to address the commission with issues that are not on the agenda but are within the commission's subject matter jurisdiction. There is a maximum of 3 minutes per speaker. And is there anyone from the public who'd wish to address the commission regarding a topic that's not on the agenda tonight? And I'll also have a 3-minute timer here.
Excuse me. Hello, Park Commissioners. I'm Joan Marquand Wilsey. I live in the District 6 area of Vacaville. I've been here about 17 years, and I retired a couple of years ago, and my self-assignment is to learn more about city government and the path to do things. But this is a very general comment, and I don't know how to approach it, but is there possibly a flow chart or a chain of command thing that a citizen could follow when a project is in its initial stages, or how it comes to community meetings and what we do to get involved? That would be like what I would like to understand better and to share with my neighbors and to get them motivated. I live near Pheasant Country Park, and we've been working on some community meetings. That was in 2021, and there were like 20 people. But I'm all for getting more people involved if they understand what they could do. And thanks to Park Planner Nemo Gonzalez, he helped us with a big map that we showed off at National Night Out, trying to develop interest. But any other tips, or I would be willing to put in some effort to help develop this and put it up on the website. Thanks for your time, and thanks for being here on a rainy night, a stormy, terrible rainy night.
Thanks.
And Mr. Haas, thanks for introducing the book. My name is Tony Moras. The draft plan that Blair is referring to was presented to the community last month. And it will soon be coming to you for approval, which is why I'm here. We haven't seen the words of the plan, but the proposed park configuration within the plan looks a lot like the park plan that we saw in 2021 when you took the commission through Centennial Park to brief the plan at that time. That showed the 4 current tennis courts at Centennial Park going away, replaced by 4 new courts tucked up behind the center field fence by the baseball diamond in an area that truly is not expandable. It would be 4 courts, and that's all you could possibly get there. That plan was put on hold, and now we're coming 2 years forward to now put the plan forward. Both that plan and the current plan are built on community outreach data that was pulled in between the years 2017 and 2019. And I'll be honest, there was very little tennis participation on tennis courts in Vacaville at that time. That's because we had 3 major in-shape clubs, each hosting a tennis family in this area: Rancho Solano, Dover, and Browns Valley. The pandemic in 2019 had major impacts on our local tennis community. First was a huge increase in the number of people playing tennis and pickleball. We have to keep it, they're part of our life now too, because both sports are non-contact and outside sports. So, cool thing. The second was that InShape made a management decision to not support organized tennis going. We put all those organized tennis activities that used to be at those 3 clubs back out in the public. We found Centennial Park as a new home, and that's where we've been ever since. You're going to be asked to approve this 2023 plan that is really based on data that's more than 4 years old. Major things have happened, at least in our world, since that time, and we just like to have that accepted. When the planners present that plan to you, the book shows documentation also. I told Reggie, the planners should be directed to, you don't have to do another community outreach program to find support for tennis. Just look at, talk to Katie Solario, facilities rental in Parks and Rec. He goes crazy every month doing a rental permit for our league play. Talk to Elizabeth Persant, the recreation supervisor. She's sharing all the, or supporting all the programs the pros putting out there through the city programs on the courts. Or Reggie's aware of the things we've been doing for the last year and a half to try to keep tennis alive in the city. Even the park rangers know more tennis on the court than a reflect current document. So the planners aren't really listening to the pickleball committee community. Each of us, or both committees, are asking for a single location with enough courts to support our world, similar to what we used to have at Browns Valley. The first, looking for two things in a new plan. One is acknowledgement that there is tennis going on in the city. And two, when tennis courts are placed in a new plan, put them in a place that we can expand to go to 4, 8, 12 courts when funding becomes available. We can work with you to help make that happen. But where they are now in the new plan, we can't support that. And we'll use them, but they're not expandable.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Terry Christabel. I've been a Vacaville resident since 1979. My husband and I raised two sons. My sons were actively involved in city sports from the age of 4 until they graduated from Vaca High School. Thank you to the Parks and Rec because for providing affordable opportunities for my sons as well as others to play sports. These opportunities have made Vacaville a desirable family environment. The family environment also includes the accessibility to lifelong sports such as golf and tennis. And Green Tree unfortunately closed in 2016 after 55 years of service. Many families play golf at Green Tree. In fact, Green Tree was a great place to teach children the game of golf. In 2019, sports clubs changed their focus in which tennis was eliminated or severely limited. Vacaville is very fortunate to have public courts dispersed throughout the community, but the model does not fulfill our needs at this time. League tennis that once was played at private clubs is forced to play at public courts. Depending upon the team category, each team needs 3 to 4 courts for at least 2 hours. And right now, SCTA has 14 teams. Vacaville has grown from 93,920. I checked that out. That's a lot of people. In 2013 to 103,78 in 2021. My message is to create a plan that is flexible for future growth, starting with 4 lighted courts and increasing as the population grows to 8, 10, 12, whatever it needs. The United States Tennis Association, we call it USTA, report that in 2021, that there were 22.6 million tennis players, which is a 4.5 increase from 2020 and a 27.9 increase from 2019. That is 4.9 million additional players over a 2-year period. Increased participation is at an all-time high, and the USTA is looking at it will continue to grow. A tennis center would also give opportunities for families to play together. Lessons could be provided by a pro, similar to golf. The love of the sport could lead to college scholarships for our young people. I'm hoping that the Vacaville Parks and Recreation will continue with the tradition of providing family activities to maintain a close-knit community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ken Wilding, retired Air Force officer. And I want to first of all thank each and every one of you for your service here to Vacaville and our community, which I've been a part of for 38 years. I really appreciate it. I know what it means to serve, and I know you guys are serving, and I appreciate it. Well, we're also here as SCTA, to serve and to join you in that service through tennis, okay, and through tennis. Even right now, these 4 courts don't satisfy anywhere near our needs because we already in January and in early February have 14 teams vying to schedule court time on Saturday and Sunday. Doesn't take a mathematician to figure out that can't really work. So we also need a facility that will deal with youth. And that's our focus. That's really one of our main focuses, is to bring youth under the SCTA and bring them training, bring them education, bring them fun, bring them relationships, which is what really boils down to have a good tennis team, which we have many. In those years I've been here, I've been on 58 teams, USTA teams, let alone playing regularly. That's something like 270 matches. Now, I'm 78 years old, and I'm pretty darn healthy. And I'm still playing competitive tennis. And I have 14 grandkids, and I've seen that effect on their lives because I have a court at my house out here in English Hills. And I want that for the youth of Vacaville. Now, we at SCTA recognize that. In fact, we've got a significant donation already towards those ends, towards children and youth and development here within Vacaville. And beyond that, we have a volunteer who's ready to take that on and hire the pros we need, which currently we can't do on city courts. But if I have to use my court to do that, I will do that. And we will look for other private courts in the neighborhood to do just that until we can get that plan on the Parks and Rec plan. We are a nonprofit. We can raise funds. We want to join you guys in making these sort of things happen for our youth and for our adults that really want to get out and make good relationships on the tennis court. And we will do that. But we have to have it in the plan. And then we can go together and fund it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
First of all, thank you for being commissioners. I've been on several commissions over a long period of time. It's all volunteer. I know you're here with the best interest. I haven't been here as long as Ralph. Nobody's been here as long as Ralph. For most of us, we've been here a long time. The topic is tennis in Vacaville. You might be confused why we're bringing that up. The city planners used data collected in 2017 to determine the tennis needs in the community. And at the time, it was a great study. The data is accurate. What happened was InShape went bankrupt. InShape got a receiver. The new receiver, Tony and I've been working with, and they don't want to support tennis. They've ripped out 3 courts, made them permanent pickleball courts, and their plan at Browns Valley is to rip them all out and make it all pickleball. So what was 4 courts at Centennial Park, which was a perfect answer, is now no longer works. So we aren't asking you to spend any more money at this time. We're just asking you to put the 4 courts at Centennial in a place that can be expanded. That makes sense? And I know there's future money in the budget through Measure M, Community Service. We helped pass the budget. There's $40 million sitting there. And you folks should have a lot of say of how it's spent, because it was for community services. But all you have to do, all we're asking for at this time is that plan that I have not seen, but I'm told the new 4 courts are in a location that cannot be expanded. And we're asking to rethink that. Centennial's a wonderful facility. It's in the middle, it isn't surrounded by houses, and it's the perfect place to expand all the other facilities plus tennis. Just put the 4 courts in a place that can be expanded to 8 or 12 later on. That makes sense? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is John Goodwin, and I just wanted to piggyback on the tennis group or the pickleball group, say hi. And we have kind of the same concern. I know we've been talking a lot lately about the pickleball courts and the need, and there's the city has shown interest in, putting a couple pickleball courts at a couple different parks, but we actually have the same kind of issue. If the weather's decent on a Saturday, Sunday morning, we have at least 20 to 40 players that show up at a time, because pickleball's a little different. You play for 15 minutes, you switch up, you go to different courts. It's a very social activity as opposed to playing like 2 sets of tennis. So we need a lot of courts in one spot so that we can have a lot of players that switch back and forth and everything. So that's the point I wanted to make, was that we also have a need for a regional facility with, at least, like right now, we easily take up 6 courts if the weather is decent. That's right now. That's not, we're still expanding. And as you know, Fairfield put in 16 courts. So that's the kind of facility that we're looking for. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Looks like that's everybody. We will go ahead and thank you all for your comments. Move on to agenda item 8, reports of Public Works Superintendent David Jacobson. But let's see him here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Commission Chair. I should have told you that he's out ill tonight.
Okay, so do we just,
Yeah, we can,
Move on?
we can make sure that we mail the report, a written report to the commission.
okay, great. Thank you. So then moving on to agenda item 9, business. So we have our first item, 9A. Director Hubbard, would you like to introduce this item on the mid-year budget presentation?
Yes, thank you, Commission Chair. We have Eric Lauro, who will be presenting our mid-year budget report. We have, I've learned from Tracy that we used to do this maybe 7-10 years ago. So we wanted to bring this back in line with the city council. Every year, the city council, the finance director brings a mid-year report to the council. And so we wanted to get in line with the council and bring you the Parks and Rec mid-year budget report. So Eric Lauro will be presenting this report.
Thanks, Eric. Turn on your mic. Let's see. 11. There you go.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. Happy New Year. Tonight, I will be presenting a mid-year operating budget update to connect our fiscal year 2023 strategy to our department accomplishments thus far. So we'll begin with the department's updated organizational chart with our newly approved full-time positions, and continue with a brief overview and refresher of our program operating budget that was approved for this fiscal year. I will then present a status update for our department budget divisions, which are administration, pay-to-play programs, facilities, and community well-being programs. We'll then take a look at how our current budget is performing compared to last fiscal year at mid-year. And then we'll talk about some of the challenges we're facing and highlight some achievements that we've been able to accomplish. Finally, I'll give some brief updates on a couple non-park related capital improvement program projects, and we'll close out with a Q&A. Our department now consists of 26 full-time positions as of the start of this fiscal year, and 150 to 250 part-time positions depending on the season. There are also a total of 21 employees of Venue Tech who operate our Vacaville Performing Arts Theater. New positions added this fiscal year include an additional recreation supervisor who is providing oversight to program registration, facility reservations, and park ranger. An additional non-full-time park ranger was also added, an administrative technician for department marketing, and a conversion of a part-time facility maintenance coordinator to full-time, and an associate park planner. We're happy to report that all of the new positions have been filled except for the associate park planner, which the recruitment will be soon opened for. All new positions other than the park ranger and the facility maintenance coordinator were funded through Measure M. Currently, the department has 2 other full-time vacancies that we're actively recruiting for. The positions are both recreation coordinators who will oversee adult and youth sports and aquatics and concessions programming. We also currently have multiple vacancies for recreation specialists across all program areas, as well as aquatic specialists for the Graham Aquatic Center. On June 28th, 2022, City Council approved the proposed operating budget for Parks and Recreation, which included a bottom line expenditure budget for programming of $9.2 million and a revenue goal of $4.6 million. This set our cost recovery goal for programming at 50%. All numbers I'm presenting today are as of December 31st, 2022, which equates to 50% of the fiscal year. At the halfway point of the fiscal year, we've utilized 4.1 million, or 44% of our expenditure budget, and have generated just under 2 million, or 44% of our revenue projection. It's not uncommon for the department to be tracking slightly behind at this time of year, as many programs slow down in the winter months and pick back up in the spring. Tracking slightly behind that 50% mark allows us to ensure we have enough budget to cover the boom in recreation that occurs in late spring and early summer, where we also expect to see revenue numbers spike as well. Our budget for administration this fiscal year was approved at 2.84 million, and as of 50% of the fiscal year, we've spent 1.3 million, or 46% of our overall budget. There were some cost savings realized in this division due to the full-time vacancies that we have within the department. Our administrative division budget allows us to provide many different services to the city and the community, including but not limited to the ones that are listed on this slide. Administrative employees are responsible for park planning, production and distribution of the city events guide, administering the department budget and managing grants received by the department, recruitment, program registration and facility reservations, and commission, council, and advisory boards. Our pay-to-play programs budget receives the largest portion of our programming budget, and we have seen a lot of growth within many activities within this division. As of December 31st, this division has spent 44% of its expense budget and generated 46% of its revenue projection. The bottom line cost recovery for this division is currently at 109%. So these programs are currently bottom line covering all of their costs. This year, we've experienced a huge increase in demand for pay-to-play programs, some including fall baseball, which reached a record number of enrollment of 450 participants, which is a 54% increase from 2019. Also, winter basketball had over 500 participants, which is a 71% increase from 2018. Our gymnastics drop-in sessions are consistently booked at maximum capacity of 80 participants per session. And a competitive dive meet was held at the Graham Aquatic Center with over 50 athletes. The increased demand for pay-to-play programs is reflected in our cost recovery rate, which is currently at that 109%, which is 3% over our projected cost recovery at the end of the year. Our facilities budget was approved at 2.1 million and pays for the operation activities at all of our various recreation and community centers. Facilities has spent 46% of their budget and generated 40% of their revenue goal. We have been facing challenges with rising indirect costs that have made cost recovery at facilities harder to achieve. Despite this challenge, we have experienced some successes from activities at our facilities this year, some being a great season of shows, turnout at the Vacaville Performing Arts Theater, including a sold-out Tower of Power concert. The Solano County Home and Garden Show was held at the Harbison Event Center, and 3 dive-in movie nights were hosted at the Graham Aquatics facility. Our final budget division is our community well-being programs. These programs serve the purpose of providing low to no cost activities, classes, excursions, and citywide events to increase equity, diversity, and inclusion within Vacaville's recreation offerings. As of 50% of the fiscal year, the community well-being category has spent 34% of its expenditure budget and reached 25% of its revenue goal. We do hope to see the revenue in this budget category pick up when the volume of special events increases in spring and summer. This accounts for the majority of the revenue in this category just because they're citywide, so they attract a larger group of participants. This year, we have been able to bring back much of the programming in this division that was shut down during COVID and also offer new events and activities to our community. Some highlights are a Dia de los Muertos event, the annual McBride Senior Thanksgiving Dinner, Vacacon, which saw over 1,000 patrons this year, and Therapeutic Recreation Sensory Room, which continued to max out participants even with additional sessions added. So to wrap up the numbers portion of the presentation, I wanted to show a comparison of this year's bottom line numbers against last fiscal year at 50% of the year, so as of December 31st. In summary, when compared to this time last fiscal year, Parks and Recreation has increased expenditures by 18% and has seen an increase in revenue of 32%. We have also seen an overall increase in our cost recovery rate of 4 percentage points. We attribute these increases to the spike in demand we have experienced since the lifting of COVID restrictions. And our staff has been working hard to manage the demand and bring the much needed recreation back to the community, and has served over 62,000 people through programs, events, and facility reservations and rentals. This fiscal year has been a year of recovery, rebuilding, and growth from the COVID-19 pandemic. And though much demand for recreational programming has returned in full force, there are some unique challenges that we've been tasked with as a result. The first of these being staffing levels. So typically, Parks and Rec has a consistent demand for our entry-level recreational specialist positions, which see a high rate of turnover, but are also quicker to be filled. This year, we've seen more turnover within our recreation specialist 2 and 3 positions, which we're finding more difficult to backfill as we do not receive as many applicants for these positions because they do require more experience and a higher degree of responsibility. With the great resignation and current job market conditions, this appears to be a trend among Parks and Rec agencies. We're also struggling with retaining sports officials and being competitive with other employers of sports officials. This is leading to use of our own staff to officiate games, which is resulting in an increase of our non-full-time wages. Another challenge we face is lack of indoor recreation facilities. As mentioned, the demand for recreation has bounced back, and this year we're seeing record amounts of sports teams, registrations, and participation. Many of our facilities are booked for these events at maximum capacity, and many programs are experiencing wait lists as we do not have the adequate space or staff to respond to the growing demand. And then finally, as mentioned earlier, we are seeing a rise in indirect costs, such as utilities, particularly at our facilities that make attaining those cost recovery goals harder to achieve. Though we have experienced some challenges this year, our staff also has achieved many accomplishments that I wanted to highlight as well. In the year of rebuilding, Parks and Rec has been able to revive beloved recreational activities as well as provide new events for our community. As a result of increased participation in activity offerings, the department has seen an increase in overall revenue of 32%, an increase in cost recovery of 4 percentage points, increased revenue in 19 out of 22 program divisions, and 18 program divisions with an increased cost recovery rate when compared to this time last fiscal year. And I wanted to close out the presentation by giving an update on some of the non-park related capital improvement program projects. This fiscal year, Measure M has enabled us to improve, replace, and acquire new equipment across multiple facilities that wouldn't otherwise be possible. Our gymnastics program was able to replace an outdated spring floor and has ordered new uneven bars for the Vacaville Recreation Center. A new boxing ring has been ordered for the Georgie Duke Sports Complex and is expected to arrive by the end of next month. And then with the help of the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant, we were able to acquire a new projector, LED lighting upgrades, and a hydraulic fire curtain at the Vacaville Performing Arts Theater. And a new portable stage for Ulatis Community Center has been ordered, which will be replacing the currently really outdated and dilapidated stage that we have there. And this concludes the mid-year budget update presentation. I'd be happy to take any questions or comments that you have.
I'd like to open it to the public for any questions or comments. Eric, presentation? No? Okay, I'll go ahead and close it to public comment. Any commissioner questions or comments for Eric? Commissioner Gutierrez.
Question. Ooh, that sounds loud. Do we use the data for the increased attendance and factor that into like any of our master planning? So if there's an increase in baseball, basketball, do we use that data as far as fulfilling some of the needs that we've heard from the community for some of those? If it continues to rise and we're getting revenue from it, it seems like we would use that information to, put towards improving the existing courts that we have and things like that to support that increase in need.
Yes, Gutierrez. Great question. Yes, we do use that data to plan future operations and future facilities. And we'll use that data over a few years. So some things spike and they ebb and flow, but we're continually collecting data to use it to make decisions based on future facilities. Absolutely.
Commissioner, questions? Seeing none, I have a couple. I'm assuming that your budget request and budget ask from last year accounted for the increase in minimum wage that went up for January 1, 2023? Yeah, it did.
If I can answer that question more specifically, we work with our HR department, and if we, every year, I think it started in 2019.
It's been a while.
Yes, we worked with our HR and our finance department to make sure those increases were put into our budget.
Okay, cool. Other question, I didn't see anything in the presentation about like training or development for staff. Where does that fall, I guess, in the spectrum of your budget allocations? Or I think specifically for me, I'm thinking about like DEI trainings that the staff should be taking or could be taking, at least at the higher level with Parks and Rec, but also down at the lower level, at the programmatic level. And is that incorporated anywhere in the budget?
Yes, that is. So for program areas that require certifications like our aquatic specialist at Graham, that is factored into the aquatics budget. Any mandated certification that they have, as well as, other areas like our therapeutic recreation, any employee that requires a certification to hold their position, it is budgeted within that program area's budget and paid for.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry.
And I'm sorry, Chair. No, if I can expand on that as well. The city, our city HR department does a good job of getting all across the departments training coordinated, and sometimes we'll coordinate with other cities as well, Fairfield and Suisun, and to keep it very low cost, right? So like we're required to have sexual harassment training, equity, diversity, and inclusion training. So we're going through that process right now, and that training is free, right? And so they make sure it's either free or low cost for each department. But as Eric explained, if it's something specific to our program, like aquatics, we incorporate that into our own budgets. And we try to cover that cost with our fees. But the more global trainings, our HR department works with us to make it either low cost or free. Yeah.
That makes sense. And then one other question about the indirect costs. You cited utilities. What does that mean in terms of facilities? Like, what are the types of indirect costs that are costing a lot of money?
Sure, yeah. So to give a little bit of context, so our facilities, the revenue that we collect at facilities is majority from rentals at those facilities. And our fee schedule gets an increase by a consumer price index that's typically between 3 and 5% annually. But these facility budgets also pay for utilities such as gas, electricity, water, property taxes, things that are regular costs. And the fee rate of those in recent years has raised much more than 3 to 5%. So the cost of paying for those indirect costs that we incur, regardless of if we're programming there or if the facility, the facilities are open, regardless, the same time each day, whether there's programming happening. So we incur those costs. The fees are raising to pay those costs. And our fees that we're charging for revenue generating activities are not raising at the same rate. So our costs are raising without our revenue being raised proportionately. So our cost recovery rate goes down. And that's kind of what we're looking at right now.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Commissioner Oz.
Thank you, Eric, for the presentation. It's great to see that we're on the right track, at least on a citywide level. But I guess my question is more for staff. Will this presentation be and the slide deck be made part of the minutes for the meeting, or? Yes. Okay.
Commissioner Gutierrez.
All right, Chair Vasquez, you made me think about something in regards to the DE&I training. I'm wondering, with the increase and the looking at cultural events for Vacaville, are we utilizing that training in order to determine what events Vacaville needs to make sure that we are having a really inclusive, catalog of activities for the community as it currently looks right now? Like, how is that being determined or assessed on which events we're deciding to roll out and which ones we're deciding not to participate in?
That might be more a question for Director Hubbard.
Well, thank you for that question. The equity, diversity, and inclusion training is geared more towards making staff aware of the population that we serve, for one, but that can be in turn taking a look at what programs we offer, right? Are we being inclusive with the programs that we're offering and the people that we're serving? So that absolutely is a part of this particular training.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much, Eric, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on to agenda item 9B. Yes. Hold on.
Chair Vasquez, it's at your discretion to reopen public comment if you choose to on this item, but you would need to reopen it and then close it again.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and reopen public comment, and I'll go ahead and start the timer now. And Eric, if you could stay there.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about measurement. I know most of you know what it is, but you might not know how successful it was. There's right now $37 million unspoken for in Measure M, and it was all raised for what? Community service. Guess what? It doesn't have to go there. Because in order to pass a bond, we can only get a 50% vote. With a 50% vote, you can't determine where it goes. Are you with me? To determine where it goes, you had to have a 2/3 vote, which you can never get. So I want to point out, in addition to the Measure M money, there's another in addition to the 12 new policemen, in addition to that, there's 37 million unspoken for. If this council doesn't speak up for it, a lot of us are concerned it will go towards the unfunded liability, which we were promised when we passed it, that it wouldn't do that. So here you have basketball, you have pickleball, you got all these things coming at you and you're going, we don't have the money. I'm saying you have a one-time opportunity. You do. That was passed for community service and you're the commission. So unless this is the time. If you want it, design it, ask for it. It'd be hard for them to refuse you. But otherwise, it's going to unfunded liability, which I don't think benefits the city at all. And when we passed it, we were promised, but you can't force the city to spend it that way, because on a 50% vote, they can spend it any way they want. You with me? Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment on agenda item 9A? Okay, I will go ahead and close public comment for 9A and and move on to 9B, approval of the 2023 calendar of regularly scheduled Parks and Recreation Commission meetings. Dr. Hubbard, if you'd like to introduce the item.
Yes, every year we bring the calendar to the commission for approval. We usually tailor it after the city council meetings on days we're dark. And as you will see, we will be dark the day after July 4th and dark again in December as we were this past year. So we're asking the commission to approve the 2023 calendar.
Okay, I'll go ahead and open it for public comment if there's any public comment on our 2023 schedule. Okay, I'll go ahead and close public comment. Any commissioner questions or comments? It was in the staff report for 9B. The only thing I would add, which I mentioned already to Director Hubbard, is incorporating somewhere a facility tour, since we haven't done one since 2021. So I think we did it in the summer-ish, time-ish.
Yes.
But maybe we could look at maybe like a May, if, we keep the July and December dark, maybe a May meeting. That's a facility tour. That would be great. And then also just ensuring that we don't have programs, major community programs conflicting with our commission meetings. That way commissioners can attend. All right. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve the proposed 2023 schedule. Just a recommendation. So can I get a motion to approve? Okay, so a motion by McMahon, a second by Berumen. All those in favor?
Yes.
And any opposed? All right, thank you all so much. So moving on to agenda item 10, committee reports. We'll start off with 10A, Play for All Committee, Commissioner Shea.
As you guys can see, it's storming rather nicely outside tonight. Play for All Park is in its very end stages of finishing phase 1, and they are just waiting for the weather to clear up. We have just a couple small boxes to check that require the weather to be tolerable, and then phase 1 of Play for All will be finished. And at that time, hopefully transfer over to the city, and then they will move into phase 2, which is something that they're still consistently fundraising for. So keep that in mind and look for opportunities to support Play for All. They always have T-shirts and bricks that you can buy on their website, but they'll also be out in the community, again, probably when the weather clears up. So look out for that. That's about it.
Any questions or comments for Commissioner Shea on Play for All? All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Shea. 10B, Creek Walk Concert Series, Commissioner Gutierrez and Shea. Who's gonna report out? Whose mic should I open?
Yeah, we met and we went over about 60 bands.
Yeah, there were a good amount of bands.
Yeah, I heard little snippets of each one and made our votes and our judges and our comments. It was a really nice experience, and they provided nice dinner for us as well. So thank you, City of Vacaville, for that. I do believe they're going to take all of our suggestions and take a look at what the budget is and make decisions accordingly. So I think that was just one part of the decision-making process. But it was a nice experience. We got to hear from some familiar bands as well as some bands we never heard of or heard from, and I think they were going to split up and reach out to some of them that were smaller bands that were not used to playing to larger audiences, and see if maybe we can have like an opening act to get them introduced to the Creek Walk series and maybe gain a little bit of a following there, and then maybe we'll see them in the future on the bigger stage. That's about it, unless I missed anything.
No, that's about, look for updates as far as actual scheduling of the bands. And I would just say, to the community, submit your band for next year. It was really exciting to see the range of people that put in submissions to be able to play. And there were some people that you could tell maybe this was kind of a career for them, then were very accomplished and played a lot of venues, and some that probably hadn't played more than, just their backyard or their garage. But it was really exciting to see all of them. And I would encourage, because of that range, for everybody that has a band to consider submitting. So,
yeah, a wide range of music as well, different genres. It was nice. So it'll be exciting to see who the final selection is. However, they did not tell us who the final band is. We pressed and we leaned hard, but no, they didn't share that with us. But
even commissioners aren't privy to that information.
Any questions or comments for the commissioners regarding Creek Walk?
We don't know exactly. It will always be kind of starting in mid-June after the Vacaville Unified School District school year ends. And I don't know that they've come out with their updated calendar to let us know that final August date. So it falls whenever those summer months are in between the school district school years.
Well, thank you both for that update. We'll move on to 10C with Vice Chair Thompson and Youth Sports Advisory Team update. Let me open your mic.
I was unable to attend the Youth Sports Advisory Team meeting that was held on November 7th, but I did receive some very detailed notes. Very good meeting from what I gather. Some updates at Centennial Park and Arlington Park will be completed postseason. They're installing new lights on one field at each of those complexes. New agreements for use agreements for 2023 have been out to almost all of the leagues, so they're working on finalizing those, or they have been finalized for all but 2 leagues. So those will be completed for the 2023 season. Public Works is working on some renovations underway at Arlington and Centennial that obviously include these large projects that will start after 7/1, after the spring season is over. And then positive enrollment, this was November 17th, and Vacaville National Little League already had 133 players enrolled, and Vacaville American Little League had over 200 players enrolled. We didn't get numbers from girls fast pitch or pony, but that's very exciting because those exceed previous year's numbers. Reggie, did I miss anything?
All right, any questions or comments for Vice Chair Thompson? All right, thank you so much. We will move on to agenda item 11, reports of park planner, Nemo Gonzalez, who will give us park projects update.
Good evening, Commissioners, and Happy New Year. Just got 2 brief updates for you guys tonight. Regarding Centennial Park, our park planner, Hugh Hesterman, along with our consultant, had 2 meetings to share the draft master plan, which most of you attended. On Saturday, December 3rd, and a virtual meeting covering the same topic, December 7th. The meeting was well attended. We had 59 attendees sign in for the in-person meeting and 31 non-staff members or community members who attended the virtual meeting. The consultant will next bring the updated master plan to the Parks Commission, tentatively in April. Regarding Corderos and Ridgeview, a set of soccer goals has been ordered for both of the parks, delivered to the Public Works Courtyard, and will be delivered to the respective sites as soon as the weather clears. That concludes my updates. Any questions?
Yeah, questions or comments for Commissioner Shea?
Thank you for the updates. When you see that we'll hear updated master plan information about Centennial sometime in April, that's directly incorporating the feedback that was received at the meeting, the public meeting. And then what about feedback that we've received here at council from some of our more vocal members of tennis and pickleball? Does that include updates for them as well, or?
So to answer your first question, yes, it will include the feedback that we received from the 2 outreach meetings, along with all of the other outreach that's occurred for the process, which has spanned several years. And then obviously I will relay the information that we received tonight, which has been consistent. I think the messaging from the tennis folks and the pickleball courts, I'll relay that to the park planner, Hesterman, who's managing that project. And I just want to highlight the fact that the April date is tentative. And if that changes, I'll update you guys at a future meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much, Nemo, for the update. That's because you didn't have any PowerPoint slides.
The weather.
The weather. Okay, so moving on to agenda item 12, reports of Recreation Manager Melody Ocampo, who will be giving us program updates.
Good evening, Commission. I do have a few slides, sorry. But there's some fun visuals, I promise. So Tracy's pulling those up now. And there we go. We can just hop right on to the first
slide there. So I just wanted to highlight some of the holiday fun that we had. Was our breakfast with Santa. The picture on the right that you see here includes a family that's been attending this event for over 15 years. So it's a longstanding tradition now at this point. And then on the left, you see the neighborhood Santa. That's a picture from our live stream that we were able to do. This is the second year we've done this event. It's been well received, and we've really enjoyed getting out. We visited 4 parks a night for 5 nights during one week in December, and that was really fun. And then next on the list here is our polar bear plunge, which if you go to the next slide here, Tracy. Oh, they're out of order. Go to the next one, sorry. So we were featured twice in the Vacaville Reporter, and one of those was the polar bear plunge. We had scheduled it last year, but unfortunately it canceled due to low attendance numbers. So we actually got to have our inaugural plunge just last week, and it was a really fun event. We had about 21 people registered, and they just had a great time ringing in the new year with a cold jump into the pool.
72 degrees?
Colder than normal. And there are many participants. We tried to get it cold. Next year we're bringing ice, I think. No. So, and if you go back one, Tracy, sorry. I did want to highlight one of our other featured programs that, and both of these ended up on the front page of the Reporter. This was our STEM camp program. It was a winter camp that was holiday art and science camp. And it was just really cool to see the kids learning, being engaged in this art and science program. And then I just wanted to highlight 2 upcoming programs that's with the same instructor, Linda Holloman, who really does a great job of engaging with her participants and providing them a quality experience that is both fun and educational. And then if you can move forward to the horse, there we go. And then lastly, I just wanted to highlight, I know you've heard a lot from Eric's programs about some of the demand, and so I just wanted to showcase some of our winter waiting lists. As you can see, gymnastics has a huge waiting list that is both facility and staffing that contributes to that. Eric really touched a lot on some of the challenges that we face, but also the the opportunities that are there. And you can see that there are people who want these programs, including, as you can see, also the youth basketball program, volleyball camp, and then some of our private lessons are in high demand. So just wanted to share that. And at this time, I will take any questions or comments. Any questions or comments for Melody? Commissioner Shea.
Thank you for presenting. Is that size of a waiting list pretty typical for the programs? Has it been gradually increasing by year? Is it much higher this year than in previous years or seasons for those sports?
So specifically the 2 sports programs or the gymnastics as well?
Gymnastics, basketball, volleyball, those high numbered ones.
Those high number, yeah. Gymnastics has always been a very popular one. I can't say that I went back and compared all the waiting lists, but I will say that that's always been pretty high in demand. And a lot of that recently, coming out of COVID, we unfortunately lost a lot of our experienced instructors. So a lot of that is also tied not only to the facility, but also just the experience level of some of our incoming staff that we are training continuously. But there's just not the volume. We can't handle the same amount of volume that we were used to. So yes and no. Sorry. And then as for basketball, we saw a huge increase in our basketball demand. We, as you know, have said for many years that we want to increase our gymnasium space and our basketball court space. That's something this department has worked on. And so I think that was a big factor in that as well. And then the volleyball camp has just been really popular in recent years. Volleyball has, again, kind of same thing as the basketball, just needing more of the court space.
Thank you.
Of course. Any other questions or comments? Thank you so much, Melody. Oh, no, I don't. Question or agenda item 13, reports of Director Reggie Hubbard.
Thank you, Commission Chair. I don't really have much. I just want to say Happy New Year to the Commission. Myself, I'm excited about this coming year, about all the exciting things that we have coming forward. And Eric kind of went over most of the things that I want to talk about is all the staff that we have coming on board. So we hired a facility maintenance coordinator over at Ulatis Community Center. We hired an administrative technician that's over the marketing piece, 2 office assistants, and 2 recreation supervisors. 1 recreation supervisor started this week, and then we have 1 starting next week. And those were due to promotions that we have with Elizabeth and Jim Baker. We do have 2 recruitments opening here soon for the recreation coordinator positions at sports and aquatics. And we will be opening the associate planner position because all these projects that we have in the park, so we need another planner to come in and help with these things as well. We did have a recent in-person hiring event. It took place on December 14th. This is for part-time staff. We had 17 candidates were interviewed and 12 offers were made on that day. So, and actually 6 candidates have already cleared. So that's exciting. So some of those wait list numbers that you see, hopefully we can hire some of these staff and get some of these kids off the wait list as well. So a lot of good things happening in our department, and it's all due to the incredible staff that we have. And I appreciate the commission's support. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Director Hubbard? Commissioner Berruman.
Yeah. Reggie, as far as from what I'm hearing tonight, it just seems like we don't have facilities, we don't have staffing, and as the gentleman over said, there's 35 million out there somewhere, but through Measure M, where does that come into place? Does it help us, or is it something we need to go to the city council to, or ask, or?
We make our pitch every year for, additional staffing and for facilities, et cetera. I would say this, of course, you understand that we wouldn't be the only department asking for that.
Yes.
Right. And so, you have fire, you have police, you have public works, you have other departments that have requests as well. And so, and that's why we're having this special meeting to maybe address some of the issues related to space and facilities, as you guys ranked some of the top projects. Some of those projects included, an indoor gymnasium.
Correct.
And so we're moving in that direction, to help kind of relieve some of the pressure off facilities.
Yeah, because again, it's our new generation coming up. If we don't get them out the streets and get their minds working and growing and let them do a good job, and get it done, I think we need to head in that right direction. And I think,
Yeah.
And sick the public, the pickleballs and tennis to the city council meetings so they can open discussion.
Yeah, they've been. But it's a combination of things. It's, we need more space and we need staff, and it's just, coming out of the pandemic, I think folks, they're getting back to quote unquote normal, and they're getting out and participating in recreation activities. So, and we're excited for that, and we want to make sure that we're preparing for that for the next couple of years as well.
So, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Well, since Commissioner Berruman brought it up, I'm not gonna leave the meeting tonight without bringing up the Measure M 3x3. Is there an update? Do we need to poke city council and the city manager? I know we're doing this process with ranking the projects and gonna eventually make a recommendation to council. But I still think that there's still value in the Measure M 3x3 committee. And so I don't know if there's any updates on that.
I don't have an update on that. I haven't heard anything since the last time you asked, but
Every meeting? You have me until March, so I'm gonna ask.
But I would encourage you, if you'd like, to give the city manager a call and ask him for an update.
Yeah, especially since now the dust has settled with elections and, we have everybody seated now as mayor and council. So Commissioner Gutierrez has a comment.
Oh, yeah, I just turned it off because I was going to piggyback on what Commissioner Berruman said, but you kind of already went there. So I was just curious on, but we're going to also have a special meeting. Maybe this should be in my commissioner comments, but since I'm here, if we're looking at like holistically, and a lot of the feedback that I was also hearing at the Centennial Park meeting, it feels like if we're looking at an opportunity, our gymnastics where that's being held, it's super outdated. And since we have such a high demand for that, it seems like if we're able to put some of that money into really having a nice center for gymnastics, for basketball, for soccer, for pickleball, then these, for tennis as well, then these agencies are able to hold tournaments and really get some usage, and we can bring more money into the city. We can have more, kids enrolled. I'm thinking also about, staffing where we mentioned we didn't have, officials, being able to partner with some of the existing parents already and maybe barter with them. If you could referee this game, we'll give you a discount on your kids' enrollment on the next game. I know my husband would totally sign up for that. He'd probably do it for free. But just being able to look at some of these things where it may be a little bit of money up front, but then what we get as far as a return on some of those investments, it seems like that would just really outweigh, the need right now for not having funding. It seems like those things would pay for themselves. And this is maybe something you're already working on, but yeah, this is my 2 cents.
Commissioner Shea, questions or comments?
Yes, I mean, since we're on the topic of asking for money and pushing all this stuff forward, I know that, we have a special meeting coming up to talk about big projects. Will there be an opportunity for commission to provide feedback on more mid-level projects, things that aren't as, pricey as some of the big ones that we're going to be continuing to look at, but just smaller projects that can maybe build out some of, the existing stuff we have. Not the $10 million projects, but just, kind of mid-range. Is that something that's going to be coming before commission or?
There will be an opportunity, although we wanted to focus on those projects that are in the Park and Rec master plan, the action plan piece. There will be an opportunity to speak on that as well. So there'll be alternatives, right? And so you can speak on something that you might want to see added to this. Absolutely.
Thank you, Commissioner Shea. No other questions or comments for Dr. Cover? Okay, moving on to agenda item 14, reports of commission. We will go ahead and kick it off with Commissioner Oz.
Thank you, Chair. And I mentioned earlier that I had the opportunity to attend the Centennial Park Master Plan Outreach meeting on December 3rd, and really thought it was Hugh Hesterman and the staff really did a great job of organizing that event. I enjoyed the presentations and then interacting with all the members of the public and getting some of their just one-on-one direct feedback. So I'm looking forward to this item coming before the commission here later in April. And again, to Tony and the Vacaville Community Tennis Association, I wanted to say thank you for your efforts to put together this binder. And there's a lot of information in here. So I just wanted to, again, ask how do we go about making this part of the minutes of the meeting and making sure that all the commissioners get a copy of it.
We can make sure that Tracy puts this copy in the minutes. Is that open? I'm sorry, I don't want to misspeak. I'm gonna ask our counsel how this is done before I step on my tongue.
Yes, this can be included in the record as communication received, even though this wasn't an item on the agenda and no action is being taken and no discussion is being had on this, we can include it as communication received.
Should I have given it to staff earlier before the meeting? Would that been more, that would have been helpful. That wasn't part of my training. So. Okay.
Thank you. Commissioner Berruman.
I already started. I won't talk about money, but I just want to thank everybody to come out today. The pickleballers, the tennis association, we hear you. This commission here has a big responsibility of what we need to do to make it great for the public and everybody, and Eric's help over there. He's quiet, and staff and Reggie, and we have a lot to think about because it's really small little things that you're asking for. And you guys are willing to work to get it to where we need to get it on your own too, as a nonprofit. Because nonprofits are, I know how they work. I deal with a lot of them. And so, and Mr. McGuire is over there pretty, and he's pretty much involved with a lot of things. But we have a great responsibility. And I think with the working with you guys and talking to the city manager and, you know, make your voice heard, I think we can get that point to try to get some money moved in the right direction and get things going. And Nemo's doing a great job. We took it easy on him today because she wasn't here. So, but I thank everybody for coming out, and a Happy New Year. And I think I'm here till March, but maybe I don't get done with Mary, I'm out.
Okay, thank you, Berman. Commissioner Gutierrez.
Happy New Year to everyone. Again, thank you for coming out. I also attended the December 3rd meeting in person for to go over the Centennial Park. It was a lot of community engagement, which was really nice. And I was able to speak with several community members that attended and just to not go down my full list, but I just kind of bulleted some of the things that people brought up. People brought up some concerns about the restrooms in the park and the homeless and who's going to monitor that. There were some people who wanted more open land and didn't like a lot of the features and wanted to hear more about what we were doing to preserve that. People were offering suggestions about sand volleyball, that being a lower expense, versus trying to do it on an actual court, more tennis courts, more pickleball courts, park maintenance. People had questions about what that would look like. There was someone else that had a concern about water shortage because some of the water features that would be at the new park as well, or at least on the plan. I do question and wonder, similar to what Baruman said, how can we become better community advocates? We've got notebooks and notebooks since I've been on the commission since, 2021 of ideas and suggestions that people come and bring to the table, and people even pull me aside and what we can do to help kind of amplify their voices and our voices. Do we need to come to the city council meetings as a whole group and speak to them, or what can we do? I guess I feel like, and I don't want to speak for everyone, that we might need more information on how we can really use our service, again, to just be a better advocate for the community and what that looks like. How do we present items? How do we help push items over the finish line? That would be amazing personally for me. I'm also wondering about staffing, and it's exciting that we had so many people attend. I was very curious on how that worked and what the attendance looked like, and the fact that there were 12 offers. That's great. Are they still at the offer stage, or have they gone through background and they're for sure starting? And then my other question before you answer that is, I know we did several additional measures as far as staffing. There were banners up and different methods. Have we looked at where we got the most? Was it this on-site, interview event? Was it some other methods that we were using? Have we kind of decided where we're going to put our time and energy to keep this recruitment going?
Thank you, Commissioner. To answer your first question, yes, 6 of those individuals are going through the process right now, which means they're onboarding, going through the background check, and so on and so forth. The others are probably a step before that. And so we're hoping to get them all on, but at least 6 right now are actively in the process. And typically that takes a couple weeks to get that done. As far as our advertising and how we're recruiting for staff, the banners have helped. It's online. We do survey our folks and ask, how did you learn about the job? And so we take that data as well, and we put our efforts in those areas. So we do survey our individuals that come in and ask how they found out about the positions.
Yeah, kudos to you. I see it all the time. Social media, so amazing. And that's it for me.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Gutierrez. Commissioner McMahon.
Well, good evening. And Aisha said, why are you so quiet tonight? All these questions have been great. So I'm just sitting back listening. Thank you, everyone. Again, I had the opportunity to be a part of the Centennial Master Plan meeting via Zoom on December the 7th. Again, very well attended, great questions. The tennis group was represented. The pickleball group was represented. volleyball. One of the things I want to hopefully express to the commission is we do have some hard decisions coming up here in the next few weeks and months. And one of the speakers tonight indicated that there are 104,000 people in this town. So relatively small group of people here tonight, but your issue is a very big issue for your group. Your issue is a very big issue for your group. We do have a gymnastics arena or a ice rink that is likely leaking right now. It is in bad shape and it needs a new roof and new flooring. And I know some of that stuff is coming. So in the next few weeks, it sounds like we're going to be able as a commission to determine what we feel is important to serve this town as a whole for the 104,000 people that live here. So those decisions aren't always easy. Talking about Measure M funds, we don't, as a commission, get to determine where those funds go. We are an advisor to the council, so we're absolutely advocates. We're advocates for the tennis group, we're advocates for the pickleball group, and everybody else in this town. So I would just say, let's reach out to our electeds. Let's be advocates for that money and let them know how important these programs are and how important these facilities are to this community. And with that said, I would just encourage you all to do that. I'm going to reach out to my District 1 council member and make sure my voice is heard. And I would encourage all of you to do the same. So thank you so much. It's really nice seeing you guys here every month. It really is. And, keep coming out. We do have a special meeting on the 18th of January. And, again, you will see how we have, as a commission, prioritized what we feel is important to the community right now. So we will, again, we will try to make the best decision we can to serve this community as a whole. And sometimes it may not be the most popular decision in your eyes, but I think everybody's heart is in the right place here, and we will absolutely do what we feel is best to serve the community. So thank you so much. Again, we appreciate it. We hear you. And, I think, somewhere in the future we can get there. I really do. I think we can get there for both groups and for everybody else. So thank you so much and Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner McMahon. Commissioner Shea.
I just want to wish everybody a Happy New Year and hope everybody had happy holidays. I really want to thank Parks and Rec staff. I've just been seeing a lot of really cool stuff happening lately around town. I've been seeing some really cool recreation opportunities. I just signed my son up for the Dungeons and Dragons club, and I really appreciate the opportunity for my non-sports involved son to get to recreate. He's has zero interest in any kind of physical activity, but he's very excited to do Dungeons and Dragons with City Club. So thank you for that. And we're very excited about that as a family. And just thank you for, always keeping an eye toward those non-sport recreations as well. And, kind of making sure that the gamut of those things is taking care of it is appreciated. And then this weather, everybody stay safe. I know we were supposed to have a presentation from Public Works, and I just wanted to thank them. I know that, they're out there when we're storming like this, and there's a lot of positions and people, my husband's Caltrans, they're on storm watch and doing 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. And all of the people, that work for the city that are out there making sure that the roads aren't flooded and, tree branches aren't in the middle of the road and all that. It's really appreciated. There's a lot of infrastructure stuff that we don't really think about when it's storming like this. I mean, just on the way here, I was like, frantic. My car was like sliding all over the road, and it was intense. So everybody stay safe as we weather this really intense storm. I also had the chance to attend the the Zoom session. And again, I want to thank Parks and Rec staff. That was really well attended. And I've been on a lot of different community at the city council level and for, various things. And we don't often get, a good attendance. And so really kudos to, how you guys marketed that. And that kind of, brings up also also, we had a public comment about kind of educating the public and having flow charts. And I really liked that idea. And it's kind of just to piggyback off the, good attendance from Centennial. How do we keep that attendance up and keep people at that level of engagement? I liked that somebody spoke about it this evening. I love having all of the pickleball and tennis people come and advocate for their interests every week. It has been very enlightening. And if it weren't for you guys, we'd just be sitting here all by ourselves with city staff every Wednesday that we meet. So it's nice to have company. But that is a good idea, and it's a good thing to look at. I know that social media has been pretty successful for a lot of Parks and Rec efforts, but just across the city, maybe having info sessions or like, public comment said, like a flow chart, more social media outreach. Like I do see, in Vacaville groups, like people wondering, like, who do they call when they want to report specific things? And I think it still is somewhat of an area of need. I know that's not just a Parks and Rec thing, but just, city staff as a whole. It's something that people are, interested in. And then we did get communication about a day of peace for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and really want to encourage the community to come out and attend that. I went to the inaugural one. I wasn't able to attend last year because our entire family had COVID, but we'll be there this year. It's a beautiful day, and it's just really good to be out with the community, celebrating the values of Dr. Martin Luther King. It's really, it's just a great vibe, and really fun to hang out with the community. And that's it for my public comment tonight.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Shea. Vice Chair Thompson.
Thank you. I also attended the virtual Centennial Park Master Plan meeting or presentation. I think Park Planner Hessman did a great job coordinating that and presenting ideas. I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and your attendance at the community engagement. I think we're listening, we're trying to listen, we're hearing you. Park Planner Hesterman and Park Planner Nemo are bringing that information back to us. We have a responsibility. I want to reiterate what Commissioner McMahon said. We have a responsibility to listen, take those ideas and push them forward to City Council. But I also encourage you all to reach out to your district representative on the council to, take that voice there as well, because I think it will have a large impact as it has with us. And so thank you all for coming out. Continue to come out. I think the community engagement is great. I like seeing everyone out here. I like seeing everyone attending the virtual and in-person meetings. So continue to do that. It's important, very important, and we do hear you. And we will do our best. I think we all have, our hearts in the right place. We'll do our best to represent you and push those ideas forward as best we possibly can. We are an advisory board only. We don't make those final decisions, but we can, advocate for you, and we will do that. I also want to at least put a bug in Director Hubbard's ear about that 3x3, and I will be contacting the city manager since that was his plan, but we can figure out what's going on with that. Since that was probably 18 months ago, it was originally presented. Mm-hmm. It was a virtual meeting during COVID. I don't remember the exact date. I'd have to look it up. But yeah, there you go. Of course, Murray does. Perfect. So I'd like to revisit that and see what an update is on that. And I will certainly be reaching out to Aaron as well. But if you could do that as well, Reggie, I'd appreciate that. And then lastly, Happy New Year to everyone. Stay safe. It's wet out there. I walked in the door soaking wet. So in an hour and 24 minutes, I've dried off mostly, but it's wet out there. Stay safe, be safe and healthy.
All right, thank you, Vice Chair Thompson. My quick update, so I also was able to attend the December 3rd Centennial meeting in person at ULATIS. There's a really great turnout, so much so we didn't have enough chairs set up, so I kept going to the front desk, can we get more chairs? Can we get more chairs? And definitely had, I think, a diverse group of folks that attended. We had families there. We had little kids there. Obviously the tennis and pickleball folks were out. I heard because it was raining that day. So, couldn't play outdoors. But nonetheless, it was great to see all the folks that did turn out. Hugh also, as you mentioned, did a great job in helping facilitate that with the consultants. But there was a lot of good feedback. And I think, the soccer, there was also a board member from the soccer league that was there. And I think from my perspective, having kids in a lot of leagues, there was a little bit of a red flag that kind of like came up for me, in that the woman from the soccer league didn't actually like kind of know what was happening with that plan. So I think, again, as much as we can use our constituents, that, we can get information out to the bodies. I know you guys put a huge sign out in front of Centennial, but even if it's just an email asking the presidents and the vice presidents of the leagues to send communications out about the upcoming master plan meetings, I think that would be great. I think that she was a little shocked to hear that one of the fields that they just built in the plan would be potentially moved or relocated. And so I do hope that all of the feedback that was taken at both of those meetings and over, probably I'm sure there's feedback in social media, but also at the commission meetings and from the commission tonight. I do hope that the plan comes back to us looking different than what it looks like now. I think that there was a lot of good feedback that can be incorporated. But I also keep hearing at council too, the council members, either kicking back plans or development or park plans to put something else in it that, like think bigger, go bigger, think about a theme, and like encouraging and pushing the staff to think critically about, what is incorporated in the plan, but also to give, a touch or some sort of feel to the park plan that, encourages people to come. And so I think we have a really big opportunity with like the hundreds of acres at Centennial to do something big and go big and ask big and use those Measure M funds. And so I really hope that we do come back with a bigger and better plan. Not that the existing plan isn't good. I think just something bigger and better, a wow factor. I think, Councilmember Silva has talked about themes and having themes at the parks. I know Councilmember Sullivan has said, come back and bring us a wow factor. And so I think if we can do that and beef up this master plan and make it a destination type park, it is very close to the freeway, but a destination park, not only for our community and for our residents, but even for the outside community and surrounding areas. So I really want to encourage staff to think big. So whenever it does come back to the commission, having been on the commission now almost 3 years, it does oftentimes feel like when those master plans come to us, that they're in a pretty much final state and it's hard to kick things back. I understand we're working with consultants that cost a lot of money. And so, I think that we are very conscious of that as a commission. And so when they do come to us, I think there is feeling and sentiment that those should just move on and move to city council. And so I do hope that there is time for the commission to engage in the master plan process. And even if that means, it may have to continue to more meetings. So, and definitely agree with the public comment about flowcharts. I think even for me, as someone who's been on the commission 3 years, it is always still like, okay, what happens next? Where does it go next? What happens? What's the next step? And I think to Commissioner Shea's point about maintaining that community engagement would be really great. And my only other note is we are all great humans who are up here serving, but the commission applications are currently open. And so folks can apply to serve at both the Parks and Rec Commission, but also the Planning Commission. And that deadline is in January, but I don't know the date off the top of my head. I want to say the 20th. So just encouraging the public to apply. It's on the city website, but encourage, you all have showed up consistently. Maybe one of you wants to apply to be on the Parks and Rec Commission, but definitely just encouraging the public to apply. And I think that's all I have for tonight. And with that, Happy New Year, happy 2023, and good night, Vacaville. Thank you. We will adjourn to the special meeting on Wednesday, January 18, 2023 at 6 p.m. in person here at City Hall. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.